Hey everyone, this is Continuing Education. I'm Minister James Moss, and we're here again in the book of Luke. We're in chapter 6, and we're going to cover verses 12 through 16. This one is entitled, Jesus Chooses the 12 Disciples. All right, so I'm going to make sure I don't go past verse 16 because, my old way, wow. All right, so let's see. Do that right there. All right, so let us do this real quick here. Well, it won't take long, but it's not going to be real quick either. We're not going to rush to any of this stuff. All right, so here we go. After a night dedicated to prayer, Jesus chose 12 men to be his apostles, his representatives. Whatever Jesus' specific reasons for choosing each disciple as a group, they were often hot-tempered, unbelieving, and clueless about the spiritual realities behind Jesus' ministry. The better that Christians come to know the weaknesses of the disciples, the more they can see that God has freely chosen them also. All right, so here we go. This is the choosing of the 12. All right. We're going 12 through 16. Okay. All right. And it came to pass in those days that he went out into a mountain to pray and continued all night in prayer to God. And when it was day, he called unto him his disciples, and of them he chose 12, whom also he named apostles. Simon, whom he also named Peter, and Andrew his brother, James and John, Philip and Bartholomew, Matthew and Thomas, James the son of Alphaeus, and Simon called Zelotes, and Judas the brother of James, and Judas Iscariot, which also was the traitor. All right. And it's kind of weird. It's kind of funny how Luke puts him at the bottom of the list, right? All right, so here we go. Verse 12, Jesus' enemies had revealed their stubborn hearts and refusal to see him for who he was. His ministry was increasing as people crowded in to hear him. Jesus knew that he would not be long on the earth, so the continuing task of spreading the good news of the kingdom would be entrusted to a group of human beings whom he must choose. This was a daunting task, and Jesus needed the Father's help. So Jesus went to a mountain to pray, and he prayed to God all night. This was not a quick call for help while Jesus followed his instincts. This was an intense conversation as Jesus sought his Father's guidance in this supremely important task. Verses 13 and 14. At daybreak, after his night in prayer, Jesus called together all of his disciples. Of the many who were following him at this time, he chose 12 of them to be apostles. Jesus did not take volunteers. He chose those whom God had directed him to choose. The choice of 12 men is highly symbolic. The number 12 corresponds with the 12 tribes of Israel, showing the continuity between the old religious system and the new one based on Jesus' message. Jesus looked upon this as the gathering of the true people of God. These men were the righteous remnant who would carry on the work the 12 tribes were chosen to do, to build the community of God. The Gospels and epistles stressed the ministry of the 12 men together and its significance. The number was so important that when Judas Iscariot killed himself, another man was chosen to replace him. The apostles formed Jesus' inner circle. He gave them intense training and sent them out with his own authority. These were the men who started the Christian church. In the Gospels, these 12 men are usually called the disciples, but in the book of Acts, they are called apostles. This is a rare instance of the term apostles in the Gospels. The first name recorded was Simon, whom Jesus also called Peter. He became one of the three in Jesus' core group among the disciples, and he recognized that Jesus was the Messiah. Although Peter would deny ever knowing Jesus, this Gospel alone has Jesus' prayer on behalf of Peter that his faith would not fail. The risen Christ made a special appearance to Peter. He would become a leader in the Jerusalem church, write 2 letters that appear in the Bible, and be crucified for his faith. Andrew was Peter's brother, also a fisherman. Andrew had been a disciple of John the Baptist and had accepted John the Baptist's testimony. He had left John to follow Jesus and then had brought his brother Simon to Jesus. James and John had also been fishermen and incidentally Peter and Andrew's partners. Along with Peter, the three of them became Jesus' inner circle. James would become the first martyr for the Christian faith. John would write the Gospel of John, the letters of 1, 2, and 3 John, and the book of Revelation. John wrote about Philip. Philip probably knew Andrew and Peter because they were from the same town, Bethsaida. This is not the same Philip mentioned in Acts 7. Philip then brought Bartholomew, also called Nathanael, as recorded in John chapter 1, verse 45. Bartholomew was an honest man. Bartholomew at first rejected Jesus because Jesus was from Nazareth, but upon meeting Jesus, his attitude changed. Verse 15, Matthew was also known as Levi. He had been a tax collector who at Jesus' call had given up everything in order to follow him. He would later write the Gospel of Matthew. Thomas is often remembered as Doubting Thomas because he doubted Jesus' resurrection. Thomas loved Jesus and understood what Jesus' mission entailed. This James was called son of Alphaeus to differentiate from James, the son of Zebedee. Simon was probably not a member of the party of zealots, for that political party was not identified as such until AD 68. Most likely the word zealot used here indicates zeal for God's honor and fervent nationalism that characterized Simon before he followed Jesus. Most likely it was an affectionate nickname. Judas is also called Thaddeus. He is also mentioned in Acts chapter 1, verse 13. Rounding out the list is Judas Iscariot with the footnote that he is the one who later betrayed Jesus. The name Iscariot is probably a compound word meaning from Kerioth. Thus, Judas' hometown was Kerioth in southern Judea, making him the only one of the 12 who was not from Galilee. It might seem strange that Jesus would spend an entire night in prayer to pick this group and then end up choosing Judas. Did Jesus make a mistake? No. The plan had been set in motion from the beginning of time, and this was part of the plan that would eventually come to its final conclusion in Judas's betrayal of Jesus and suicide. The betrayal fulfilled prophecy and helped to bring Jesus to the cross. There was no mistake. That was the way of salvation. All right. And so this is Luke's account of the 12, how they were called, and a little background about them. We can get more detailed information about them in the other Gospels, also in the book of Acts and so forth. All right. So that wraps up this particular video about basically Jesus chooses the 12 disciples and he called them apostles. All right. So until next time, God bless you. God keep you. Thank you for supporting what we do in this ministry. And remember to always share it with other people. Hey, share it. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Hey, there's nothing bad or ashamed about sharing the gospel. That is going to bring you salvation. That's going to give you redemption and give you reclamation with the Father. Hey, until next time, God bless you. God keep you and continue to study.